Hi everyone. So in our last class we have learned estimation of very small distances, size of a molecule, and the range of lengths. I asked you to by heart all these values, measurement of mass and the measurement of time and accuracy, precision of instruments. So we learned how the value is accurate or precise to the given value, that is true value. Next we also learned what are errors. So we have also written an equation for the error, and we have also seen the different types of errors. That is, first one is systematic error, second one is random error. In systematic error we again have three types, that is instrumental error, imperfection in experimental technique or procedure, and the last is personal error. I have discussed the systematic error in my last class, and I guess we left in this topic the imperfection in experimental technique or procedure. As I have said in the earlier class, if you are given an experiment to perform, then what will you do? You will look for the procedure given for that experiment. If the given procedure is wrong, or if you perform the experiment in a wrong procedure, then there occurs a error. So there is an example given in your textbook. So what it says is, a thermometer placed under the armpit will always give a temperature lower than the actual value of the body temperature. Yes, so this is how. If you perform the experiment in a wrong manner, then there occurs a set of errors that you have to eliminate later. How do you eliminate? So before doing the experiment, go through the procedure very carefully, understand each and every step given in the procedure, repeat the procedure again and again, and then perform the experiment. This would minimize the error that occur while doing the experiment. Next error is personal error. What personal error says is, the errors in the measurement of physical quantities due to the carelessness of an observer are known as a personal error. Say for example, reading the position of a needle on the scale. Say here you have done an experiment and your needle coincides to the value 2. What will you do? While taking the value, if you see from the right side, then value decreases. If you see from the left side, the value increases. This is what the parallax is. So what you have to do is, you have to see directly from and measure the coincided value. So this is what the parallax is. You should never see the value from the left side or from the right side. So this personal errors can also increase the value or decrease the value, as I said earlier. So these are the three types of systematic error that we have learned. So how do you minimize this error? Is there any chance of minimizing this error? Yes, you can minimize this error. So in the first, what we have seen is, that is instrumental error. If you take a good instrument, then you can obviously decrease the errors that occur while doing the experiment. If there is no fault in the instrument, then you can get the perfect values. So the next is imperfection in experimental technique. So if you are perfect with the procedure, if you are clear with the procedure and you perform the experiment very clearly, then also you can decrease the errors. The next is personal error. If you are careless in doing the experiment, then you will get the error. If you do the experiment very carefully, then you can also eliminate this personal error. So, the systematic errors can be minimized by improving the experimental technique, selecting better instruments, and removing personal bias as far as possible. Clear? Then let's move to the next section, that is random errors. Random errors. Random errors are those errors which occur irregularly and hence are random with respect to the sign and size. So you can never predict when this error occurs. Say for example, take the temperature. If you are performing the experiment in your lab and if the temperature of the environment changes, then obviously there occur a error in your thermodynamic experiment. Mechanical vibrations. So if you are performing an experiment using, say for example, atomic force microscopy, then it can pick up a very small vibrations also. So if you just go and touch the table of atomic force microscopy like this, then there occur a error and you will lose the data, and the scan which this atomic force microscopy will show so much noise. So while doing the experiment with the AFM, you should not make any noise or there should not be any vibrations. And if you are doing experiments, say for example for the like electronics, if there is wrong voltage supply or if there is not correct voltage supply, then also there occurs a error. So unpredictable fluctuations in temperature, voltage supply, mechanical vibration of experimental setups, etc. would cause you to get the random errors. There are few experiments in physics where even if you speak while doing the experiment, then also you will get the error. So while doing any experiment, you have to be very careful, then only you can eliminate the error and get the perfect value. So next topic is least count error. What is least count then? The smallest value that you can measure from the given instrument will give you the least count. So take the meter scale. What is the smallest value that you can measure from the meter scale? That is 0.1 centimeter. So if you take vernier calipers, so the smallest value that you can measure from this instrument is 0.01 centimeter. So if you take screw gauge, the least count again decreases to 0.001 centimeter. As the resolution of the scale or the resolution of the instrument increases, the least count decreases. So where does this least count error occurs? Least count error occurs with both systematic errors and random errors. There is no rule that it has to occur in only systematic error or it has to occur in only random errors. Everywhere, whichever the experiment you perform, there will always be one measuring unit. So if there is a measuring unit, then there will be a least count error or the least count of that instrument. So least count error can be reduced by using instrument of higher precision and improving experimental technique. So here itself you can see this screw gauge has got higher precision when compared to the meter scale. If you perform an experiment using the screw gauge, there will be a preciseness in your value that you got while doing the experiment. And also by improving the experimental technique, you can also reduce the least count error. So the next is there will be an experiment. In that experiment, you are supposed to use meter scale instead of screw gauge. So how do you decrease the least count error then? So what will you do is you take many values, like say for example, instead of taking only one value of your observation, you take nearly 10, 20, 30, and then you sum all the values and then you take the mean of the value. So by doing this, you can actually go near to the true value, close to the true value of the measured quantity. So that is what this 4 lines says. Also repeating the observations several times and taking the arithmetic mean of all the observation, the mean value will be very close to the true value of the measured quantity. So let's take the example which we took yesterday. So here are few values to the acceleration due to gravity. So while measuring, if you take only one g value, then you will end up getting the larger error. So which is not good. So try taking as many values as possible, like g1, g2, g3, g4, g5, g6, and sum all the g's that you got. So like g1 plus g2 plus g3 plus g4, g5, g6, and then divide by the number of values you have taken. So here in this case there are 6 values, so I have divided by the number 6. Then you will get approximately the value which is closer to the true value. Okay, so approximately you will get close to the true value. So I don't know how much value you get by doing mean of this. Try doing this. So I will not do this, but the value will come near to the true value. Our next section is absolute error, relative error, and percentage error. So what is absolute error? The magnitude of the difference between the individual measurements and the true value of the quantity is called absolute error. Okay, mathematically I'll say here. So the absolute error is denoted by mod of delta A. So when you do experiment, you take a number of values. So say for example, you have performed the experiment, you have got A1, A2, A3, A4, so on to AN values. So next what you will do, as I said earlier, to get very near to the true value, you will take the mean. How do you take the mean? So A mean is equals to A1 plus A2 plus A3, A4, so on to AN. Then you divide this sum by the number of measured value you have taken. So that is our n. See here it is n, divide it by n. So you can also write this equation in terms of summation. So A mean will be equals to summation I is equals to 1 to n. Here I is running from 1 to n. So if I is equals to 1, what will be my n? 1. If I is equals to 2, what will be my summation? A1 plus A2 divided by 2. If I goes from 1 to 3, then what will be the equation? A1 plus A2 plus A3 divided by 3. So like this way we will get the value for A mean. Now what he is saying is A mean is considered as the true value. So you remember in the last least count section I have said, if you take the mean, then you will get the value very near to the true value. So now if A mean is considered as a true value, then the equation for absolute error is delta A1 will be equals to the measured value A1 minus A mean. So this A1 is the measured value and the value that you got here is taken here, A mean. So measured value minus true true value will give you the absolute error. Absolute error, that is denoted by delta A1. So if from this equation, I guess the definition for the absolute error is clear to you. So let me repeat once again. The magnitude of the difference between the individual measurements and the true value of the quantity is called absolute error. So now what will you do? You take absolute error for all the measurements which you have taken. Here we have got n number of measurements. So we perform the same thing for n many times. So delta an will be equals to an minus a mean. So now the absolute error delta A may be positive in certain cases and negative in other cases, but its magnitude delta A is always positive. So here, if the true value is greater compared to your first measured value, then obviously what you will get is you will get negative absolute error. So if the given A mean has smaller true value compared to the measured value, then you get positive absolute error. So what will happen? So you have positive, you have negative. So you just take the mod of delta A such that you can always have the positive error. So I guess this section is clear. What will you do to get the absolute error? You measure the values in your experiment, you take the sum and you divide it by the number of values you have taken, and then what you will get is you get the true value and you subtract true value from the value you have got in your experiment. So by doing that you get the absolute error, and by taking the mode you get the positive value. That's it. So there is another error that is known as mean absolute error. So from the name itself you can guess what could be this. This is nothing but just the mean of the absolute errors that you have got. So here goes the definition. The definition says the arithmetic mean of all the absolute errors is taken as the mean absolute error of the physical quantity that you have measured. And how do you denote it? You denote it just by delta A mean. So here you can see the absolute error we have denoted by delta A. If you write mean in the subscript, then that would give you the mean absolute error. So how do you do that? So you write delta A mean is equals to first absolute error, that is mod of first absolute error, mod of second absolute error, so on to mod of nth absolute error divided by the number of the measured values. So this would give you delta A mean. It is known as mean absolute error. So next. So you can also write this equation like this: delta A mean is equals to summation I is equals to 1 to n delta AI mod divided by n. As simple as that. So any measurement of the physical quantity A is likely to be between A mean plus delta A mean and A mean minus delta A mean. So if you measure any physical quantity, so the value which you get while doing the experiment will be between this range. Addition of A mean and the delta A mean, and the subtraction of A mean minus delta A mean. Here you can see the range is from delta A mean minus delta A mean less than or equals to A. This is your measured value, will be less than A mean plus delta A mean. This implies that a measurement of the physical quantity A is likely to lie between these two values. Clear? Relative error. Relative error is the ratio of the mean absolute error delta A mean to the mean value A mean of the measured physical quantity. So relative error is just the ratio of absolute mean absolute error by the mean value. So this will give you the relative, this ratio will give you the relative error. When relative error is expressed in percent, it is called percentage error. So here percentage error is denoted by delta A. Delta A is just equal to delta A mean by A mean into 100%. This would fetch you the percentage error. So now I suggest you to do an experiment. Do an experiment of measuring the any like rod. Say for example rod. So take the measurement of the length. I'm sure that every time you measure the length of the rod, you will get different values. So you write the values. You write the values in terms of A1, A2, AN. Then you take the mean and you observe what is the absolute error. And then what you do next is you try seeing mean absolute error. So do this mathematics. And then you check for the relative error that you have got while doing the experiment, and you should see the percentage error. So this percentage error would give you how much percent that the error has occurred while doing the experiment. So if the percentage is very less, then you have made an experiment quite carefully. If the percentage is very large, then you have not done the experiment that correctly. So really try doing this experiment. Take around 10, for example 10 values, or if you are comfortable you take 20 values. Don't do only experiment with the rod. You can take anything. You can take books or something, measure some length values, then do this experiment. So far you have seen the error in measuring only one physical quantity. So now let's look further. So what will happen if you measure two physical quantities? So what will happen, whether the error will get added or subtracted or divided or multiplied? So let's see what will happen. So our next topic is combination of errors. So in this first let us see error of a sum or a difference. So as I said earlier, so let two physical quantities A and B have measured values delta A plus del A. Here del A stands for absolute error. So you have measured the physical quantity, first physical quantity, then you have got the value as A plus or minus the absolute error. Then what you will do next is you take another physical quantity and you measure the value of that, and that comes around B plus or minus the absolute error respectively. So for A you have got A plus or minus delta A, for B you have got plus or minus delta B. So where delta A and delta B are their absolute error. Okay, fine then. So if delta Z is the error in the sum, so what you are doing is you are taking both the physical quantities you have measured. Now you have to find what is the error in their sum. So what you will do, you just write the equation Z is equals to A plus B. Then so if Z is equals to A plus B, then you will if there is an error in A and if there is error in B, obviously you will get error in the sum. So I will write equation as Z plus or minus delta Z, which is equals to A plus or minus delta A and plus B plus or minus delta B. So from this equation you separate the measured value AB and you separate the absolute error. So here what would be the maximum possible error in Z? The maximum possible error will be the addition of both the errors. So delta Z, the error in the sum delta Z will be equals to delta A plus delta B. So I think this is clear to you. Here you are not doing anything. You are just taking two different physical quantities. You are measuring them. You are taking the absolute error, and then you are just summing up the errors that you have got in the measurement. So and what is there is the maximum possible error is just the addition of the error you have got in individual measurements. So next is, so we have done the sum. Then here let's do it for difference. So you can also subtract the error as well. So z is equals to a minus b. So z plus or minus z is equals to a plus or minus delta a minus b plus or minus delta b. So separate a minus b, then plus or minus delta a plus or minus delta b here. So here delta z will be almost equals to plus or minus a plus or minus b. So the maximum possible error in z here also, it will be delta z is equals to delta a plus delta b. Even if you do the subtraction or addition, the error will always gets added up. So hence, putting this sentence, hence two quantities are added or subtracted. The absolute error in the final result is the sum of the absolute error in the individual quantities. So I think this is clear to you. So for either for difference or for the addition, the absolute error will always gets added up. Clear? So in this class we have seen the different types of errors, like for systematic errors and random errors. We have also seen the different varieties of systematic error, and also we have seen how to reduce these errors. So we saw imperfection in the experimental technique or procedure, and the personal errors, and also the systematic error. And what we saw, we also read about the random errors, when do they occur and how do they occur, and how can we reduce the random errors. And the next is, we learned what is least count of an instrument, or least count error. We also saw how to reduce the least count error in our experiment. Then we came for simple mathematics for seeing the absolute error, relative error, and percentage error. For how do we measure all these errors. So we saw simple mathematics for absolute error, and for mean absolute error. And then we came for relative error, and from relative error we also defined what is percentage error. This is important. And then we learned the combination of errors. So if you do experiment with two physical quantities, then what will happen with the error? We saw for the sum, and we also saw for the difference. So I'll wind up this class here. So see you all tomorrow.